All right. Continuing the pack series, I have Lyle from Stone Glacier on the pod today to talk about Stone Glacier packs and what they're all about. Lyle, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Did you draw any tags today? Wyoming draws came out.
Honestly, I haven't looked, but no, I should look. Boy, now I'm gonna be curious about that this entire
Dude,
podcast. So,
the last
yeah,
I did a podcast with Kafaru like 2 days ago, and it was when
yeah,
Utah came out, and I had
mm,
like 15 text messages, and my watch is blowing up. Like, check your results. Did
yeah.
you put it out in Utah?
Mostly bonus points there,
Oh,
but yeah,
fudge.
no, I threw my hat for a deer tag and didn't get that. I had an elk tag a few years ago in Utah, so I'm on the list to wait. But yeah, nothing there. In Wyoming, I just put in for one elk tag and then just bonus points is for everything else. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I my kid drew in Utah. He drew a mule deer tag, so that'll be a fun
Oh,
hunt. So
nice.
I'll go over there and do that. I didn't draw anything. I think I put in for points only for deer. I have so many. I have a lot of mule deer tags this year already. I got the year like the most banner year of hunting coming up. Like I have like
That's
two or
great.
three tags a month
Oh,
after
no way.
like
Nice.
August. Oh yeah, it's freaking gonna be fun. So
That's great.
but yeah, it's like the fun time of year, right? Like show season's kind of winding down, and all the apps are kind of like starting to come out.
Yeah,
It's cool to see, and then we're gonna know after that all we can do is buy gear. So hopefully they'll
that's
listen to
it.
this
Yep.
podcast and go buy a backpack because you're gonna have some
That's
tags in your pocket. You need a Stone Glacier backpack.
yeah, it's fun. It's for sure one of my favorite times of year because obviously we are putting in for tags ourselves, and but really it's just exciting to have friends and customers reach out and let us know that hey, we drew this tag and we want to come get some gear or ask questions. Yeah, so it's a fun time of year. It's literally like Christmas, like what
It
did you get?
is.
So sometimes it's like, I guess our family was a little poor this year. We didn't get as many presents as we thought, but yeah, man, we always have a blast with that. And my wife's always excited because we get some money back when we didn't draw. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, she's out when New Mexico comes back. She's always excited. She's like, hey, where's all this money coming from? And I'm always bummed, but she's excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with Idaho, right? So I put in for sheep up there,
Mm.
didn't draw, and then I put in New Mexico. Do you do sheep down there too, or just do? I did elk, antelope, deer, and oryx. So I still had like 5 Gs out or something, and I ended up
Yeah,
drawing
I have
a deer tag.
nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't do the sheep down there. No, it's just, I don't know. It just gets a little expensive, especially when you're doing,
Yeah.
as many states as we do. It's kind of like, yeah, you got to kind of like step back a little bit and say no. But I mean, it's great. I mean, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say great odds, but I don't hate that system. I mean, it's kind of like
No.
fair odds in a lot of ways. So, but yeah, but at the same time, I know guys that are drawn, a tag. It seems like every year, and I can't get one in 15 years of applying down there. So,
Yeah, I've never drawn like one of the like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky. I had 1% odds. I had never been that guy yet. But I cast
yeah.
a big net, right? I apply in like 8 states, and we're trying to get it. I draw tags every year, but I'm yet to draw like a crazy Gila tag with 2% odds or. Something down there. But it
Yeah,
is nice
sure.
getting it back. I wish I had Jaden Bales on, and we talked. I don't know if
Hmm.
you know Jaden at all, but
Yeah, I know
we were
Jaden.
saying so. If we had to pick like one state to model every state after, it would be Idaho, or not Idaho or New Mexico for me. Not Idaho with the weird thing they do now, but like if I
Hmm.
could just switch every state right now, it'd be just like New Mexico. So it's just random for everybody. Screw everybody with their points. Be like, no more points. We're going
Yeah.
to this. That's it. And just make it a fair shake across the whole West.
Yeah, I mean,
But
from my standpoint, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects, but it's just honestly, it's like a science, just remembering and
dude,
managing and understanding what's going on in every state and how to apply. And I just think, if there was a more uniform process, whatever that is, across all the
yeah.
states, man, it would sure make life easier. But I
Oh,
mean, I
dude.
get it.
Yeah, I apply because I have my 3 boys apply now with me.
Hmm.
So last night I was in bed and I was texting my buddy Brad about a sheep hunt he's going to go on.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, you put it for Oregon yet?" And then I realized, like, oh my gosh, the Oregon deadline is 1 hour away. It's like 10:30. So I ended up in my office until like 11, almost midnight. Got all my apps in the last minute to get it all done. But yeah, it's a science, man. You really got to be on top of it. And but
Hmm.
if you do it right, you wake up and I've got anywhere from 6 to 12 points across the West in pretty much every state now. And
Yeah.
the few
Yep.
states I don't do Montana. I don't do Nevada, which everyone gets pissed off about. I don't know why, but I
Yeah.
do everything else, and you just start doing it, and then you won't regret it once you have them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. And I mean, I don't want to say it's rinse and repeat, but I mean, definitely once you do it once, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I just keep all my details in. And so, yeah, I opened up that spreadsheet and do a little bit of research across, a few different things. And yeah, just get my credit card out and send it.
Just get your credit card out and send it, and
Yep.
hope and pray, shoot and spray.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Exactly.
so sweet. So obviously it's the pack series. We're kind of doing like a Switzerland
Hmm.
approach. We just kind of want to hear about Stone Glacier, what you guys are
Yeah.
all about, and kind of talk about your packs. Like in my mind,
Hmm.
and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
Stone Glacier is definitely like the pioneer of the minimalist hunting backpack. And you guys, I know a little bit of your origin story, which I don't want to take from that right now. You guys
Hmm.
really kind of stripped the hunting pack down from like, in my mind, I don't want to knock Badlands, but kind of before you guys, it was like these Badlands style packs where it's just like pockets everywhere and you just
Hmm.
put crap. And my knife goes here, and you guys were like, no, let's just get rid of all that. And you guys really created a purposeful backpack that really kind of changed the backpack industry. And you see a
Yeah.
lot of companies
Yeah.
switching over to that design or something
Hmm.
kind of variant of it. And I think that you guys are kind of like the guys who kind of spearheaded that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty accurate. And honestly, the Stone Glacier backpack and its design really goes tip of the hat to our founder, Kurt Roscoe, who was the guy that kind of pioneered that whole platform of less is more and really trying to strip down, to meet a specific need that he had, and that was hunting Dall sheep in Alaska when he lived there. So I mean, for him, what came out of it was something that was very specific to Kurt, which he kind of soon realized that there was a segment of that audience out there, of this hunting audience, that would very much like to save as much weight as possible. And then yeah, it's really about, our packs are letting you define what you need. From an organization standpoint, we don't have a lot of pockets, like you said, things like that. We do have some organization structures, but again, even those are like minimalistic and lightweight. So yeah, it's really about how far can you go and how much are you willing to carry and where can you skimp, and you can definitely do that in your backpack, and still be really comfortable too under that heavy load.
Yeah, and I tend to lean towards that model with my hunting. Is I don't want pockets. I want to be able to put my pockets where I need them or where I need them.
Yep.
So let's get into
Yep.
the origin story because I've heard it. I heard
Mhm.
Kurt on like the Meat Eater podcast, like 2015, and he's just talking, and it was a really cool story. He was living in Alaska, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, and was like buying like
Yeah.
backpacks at like thrift shops and stuff, and like making stuff. So let's
Mhm.
talk about the origins of Stone Glacier.
Yeah, so Kurt, he's from Montana originally, a little town called Frenchtown, which is outside of Missoula, Montana. And then his dad was a football coach. Kurt was a really good athlete as well. So they did a lot of hunting and stuff growing up. And he went to Alaska actually as a teacher, is why he moved up there.
Okay.
Got to Alaska, was definitely taking or started to take stock the opportunity of hunting and what was available. And then yeah, just started to like really find his niche and his passion, and that was sheep hunting. And he started to do these like really long trips, and what he found was like it was really inconvenient to like hike out, shoot a sheep, and then not be able to get all of that sheep and his gear back down to the truck or the airplane, however he was getting in there. So for him, it really just was born out of necessity of like, man, what I have and what's on the market isn't working. And Kurt, I would say, wasn't ever really influenced by necessarily the hunting space. It was really more of the backpacking space is
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of Kurt's mentality came through. So, he was buying a lot of those kind of like mainstream packs and looking at them and trying to figure them out. So, yeah, so he had identified this need of like, no one's building this backpack, and how do I how do I figure this out? And so he ended up getting a few backpacks, and yeah, tore them apart and sewed them back together.
And he couldn't
And
even
what
sew, right? Like he taught himself to sew,
no, yeah,
right?
he bought a sewing machine and
That's
yeah,
right.
literally taught
Yeah.
himself from scratch. Like he had no abilities to do any of that, but he is a very like crafty guy, or engineer minded. It's probably better. I don't know if any man likes to be described as like crafty, but he was really good at building things. And so when he was a teacher, he's primarily a shop teacher. So he's a really good welder too, and not a lot of guys know that, but Kirk can weld really well. And so in his original designs, and you still kind of see it like there's kind of this like engineering mentality of, our shapes are like bold, solid shapes, almost like you're forging and welding metal together. And so he used a lot of that engineering kind of paralysis, if you will, to design and build these bags. So yeah, he started just tearing things apart and figuring out what worked and didn't work. And to be honest, he never really wanted to be in the backpack space. Like he was pretty content in, like, he had come up with this idea and didn't really want to like be a guy that's selling backpacks. And so he'd reached out to a few various organizations and brands and said like, hey, is anybody interested? And honestly, everybody was like, no, it's unique design, but we'll pass. And so
It's never gonna work.
he was like, yeah, pretty much. They're like, no, thanks, but thanks. And so, yeah, he ended up just basically taking a kind of a leap of faith, if you will, and I think he built like 40 or 60 backpacks in his first one. And he's been super smart from the get go, never tried to make them himself, always worked with a manufacturer, and made those packs, sold them pretty quickly, and turned around and invest that money right back into the business. And
Mhm.
yeah, and he's pretty unique in that sense. And he's one of those guys, like, he super humble. He's probably told this story a million times. I don't know if he's tired of telling it yet, but he's an interesting cat. But yeah, he was kind of the OG guy that said, how do I do this differently? And again, it's like his intention was really, how do I do this for myself? And then it kind of trickled outward.
Man, I love that story. It resonates with me and Tricer. It's very similar, right? Coming out of necessity and making things. And I feel like
Hmm.
because some of these guys coming on here, like I consider you guys a very like a big company in the space now, right? Like,
Hmm.
but all the backpack companies I've interviewed, same story. Just a
Yeah.
dude trying to make something better and creating things and going out and doing it. And like literally like there's 6 of you guys we're doing this with. Every one of them's the American dream. It's like they went out there,
Yeah.
started something, and they made
Hmm.
changes. And every one of you guys on the podcast has contributed to the space too, and brought unique things to the space that have really kind of forged where we are today. Because I feel like now today we are at the pinnacle of like hunting backpacks for sure. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
they've
Yeah.
never been better. Like they've never been better than they are today. And that's
Yeah.
same for rifles, for optics, for
Hmm.
tripods. I mean, it's just like it's going to get better, which is cool, right? You can say like
Yeah.
it's the best, but you see some stuff out there, like you see some of these backpacks now with like hydraulics in them and stuff. And there's stuff that's going to happen in the next 10 years, which I can't wait to see. Might be
Hmm.
gimmicky. Do you see the guy with
Yeah.
the big old balloon on the backpack walking around?
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it, it,
Yeah, it's interesting because, yeah, I think, for us, like, um it's a nice blend of, like, I mean, hunting, we talk about this a lot at Stone Glacier. Like, hunting is, it's this really instinctual kind of like primal thing that you
mhm.
do, but the tools have really advanced over the years. And so for us, like, we want to try to maintain that balance of, like, you go and you do these things for a reason. Like, you're, answering a desire or a need internally. Like, you could go literally just buy your food at the grocery store, and that's fine. And a lot of people do that, but we choose to go out and have these like really wild experiences and source our food and venture outward. And but at the same time, now you're doing it with the best gear. So it's kind of a unique contrast, but it's fun and we enjoy that part of it. But yeah, we try to stay away from the gimmicks as much as possible, because at the end of it, it's all kind of about the process. And I think that's one of the things that Kurt, is really genuine to, is he really develops stuff based off of his real experiences. And it's never a gimmick, or, it's not because the sales team is saying, hey, we need to sell more
Yep.
stuff. I mean, we're always very thoughtful, and Kurt really drives home that message of, like, we're just not going to make stuff because, someone above us says we need to sell more. That's not how Stone Glacier works.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I use that word gimmick a lot for the hunting space because
Hmm.
I think things need to be purposeful, right? Like at Tricer, our motto is fast, light, simple. And like if it doesn't fall into
Hmm.
that space, like I don't want to do it. And like I don't want to just make something just to sell it, right?
Hmm.
Because like you
Right.
can only for one, you can only sell so many items that way,
Yeah.
right? But when you
Yeah.
create something great, it'll sell itself, right? And you guys really are. You don't
Hmm.
have a crazy line of backpacks. I mean, how many packs do you guys have? 6?
Yeah, I mean, I think all in, there's probably 10 to 12 actual different bags. The unique thing about our packs that, and some brands do this too, but I think Kurt was kind of the OG guy that figured this out, was that you buy one frame from Stone Glacier, but all the bags are
Hmm.
interchangeable. So, if you're going on a 10-day sheep hunt, you just swap a bag off and put a bigger bag
Yeah.
on. And if you're doing day rips out of your truck, we have a bag for that, but you don't have to buy a new frame. So there's like a sense of economy and scale for our customers where you buy one frame and two bags and you're kind of set up for life. And for us, what we found too is, it's part of the reason why we started to get into more things like tents, sleeping bags, and apparel is uh, the quality of our stuff is really good, and we're really
It
proud of
lasts too
that.
long.
They're- yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's hard to get a repeat customer when there's still literally guys running the same bag that Kurt sold in those first 60 way back in the day. Those come in occasionally for some small repairs, or just guys want to swing into the shop and show us what they have. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild. So really built for that long haul. And so as a business, I mean, the goal is to grow in some respect, and but grow wisely. So we had to take a look and say, well, shoot, these things are great, but how else can we grow? And but yeah, it's pretty crazy that those bags are all still around.
I do not want to go down this rabbit hole of your other items. I want
Mhm.
to talk about backpacks today, but I will
Yep.
say that your de Havilland pants are the best
Hmm.
pants in the hunting industry. I have the cold weather and the warm weather. They got the full
Yeah.
side zip, which you guys have like again pioneered in my mind,
Hmm.
like with no mesh, no
Hmm.
nothing. I
Yeah.
absolutely love those pants. The cold weather ones, especially, because I just feel like they're just
Hmm.
so light, but so warm. I don't have to
Yep.
wear base layers. Like, dude, I don't want to go on
Yep.
some 15-minute. We can probably go all day on your guys' apparel, but I
Yeah.
love it. And I love that you guys don't do camo. Just throwing that out there. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We again, it's all about backpacks, but I'll give you two nuggets on that. So again, the apparel stuff, that's all Kurt. So that's Kurt coming up with these designs, and so the zipper system, yeah, we call that our stratum zipper system, and basically, Kurt found that it was a little bit annoying at times to have to take all your layers off to try to vent, and you're taking your pants off and putting them back on in the woods. And so he came up with this idea of basically stacking those zippers so you can vent all the way down to your skin. And then honestly, my favorite feature of our pants is our contour waist system, and that is that 3 inches of
yeah,
adjustment you get in your
yeah.
waist. So like, and for a guy like me, like, I call myself chubby athletic, is kind of like my body type. And so I'm like a 37, and and in the apparel game, like, you can make 36, all the sizes, 36, 37, 38. But what you find is, like, it's always even sizes, right? 34,
Hmm.
36, 38. Well, I'm a 37. I can adjust those pants, and it's a perfect fit, right?
Yeah.
And then, when you're out there, you're going to lose a little weight, or if you come back and you enjoy your wife's cooking, you're going to gain a little weight. So there's a few things that are really cool about those pants. But again, all designed by Kurt out of that, like, necessity of what was out there and how he thought he could do something better.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and I do not like, again, we're gonna get back to backpacks. I do not like running a belt.
Mhm.
I don't wear a belt. It annoys me. So your pants
Yeah.
fit that need for
Yeah.
me. Like that's one of my things. Like if the pant requires a belt, I don't want it. I don't want suspenders. I want to be
Yeah.
able to put my pants on and not
Mm.
worry about them ever again,
Yep.
especially when you're wearing a backpack and the hip belt's right pushing those things down. Like the last thing I want to worry about is my freaking pants
Yep.
rolling down on me while I'm hiking and having to pull those things up between my
Yeah.
between my hip belt and my body. So I digress. Go
Totally.
ahead.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's the key thing too, is like when Kurt designs all of our products, it's all with that thought process of,
Mhm.
I'm going to have a heavy backpack on some point. So yeah, those are low profile belt on those, low profile waist. The belt loops aren't clunky. It's all about, hey, like, at some point you're going to have a backpack on wearing these. What does it feel like? And that goes for everything, like the placement of our hand pockets on jackets,
Yep.
things like that. Kurt is taking into account that, hey, this all relates back to, you're using these products while wearing a backpack, and that's super important. And it's just very thoughtful that he has that intention.
Yeah, I hope I get to see him. I'm going to be up at in Montana for like 12 days in June.
Yeah,
I'm going to TAC and bring my dirt bike. I'm going to go
cool,
ride with Cody Rich a little bit, and then I'm going to go do Lamper's Western Hunting Summit.
sweet.
So hopefully I can come and see him. I feel
Oh,
like
nice. Yeah.
we have a lot. I would have a lot to talk about. He seems like a really neat dude and interesting dude, and it's hard to find people who have the same kind of mind as me when it comes to like creating stuff, innovating, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so fun to sit down and
Mm-hmm.
talk to somebody like that and do it. But I do need to get back
Totally.
to backpacks. So now I want to
Yeah.
start talking about. I'm buying one of your freaking sleeping bags right
Yeah.
now. Actually, I'm trading. One of my
Oh,
buddies is
yeah.
trading me for his 15-degree bag. I want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but we'll go back to backpacks. So you guys make some awesome stuff. I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
So where do we start on these backpacks? Do you want to start with the frame or the hip belt? Like where do we start? Probably the frame
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, we could start with the frame. So for us, really, again, that's kind of like the core of any backpack. You have to start with a good
Hmm.
frame, right? And again, that was kind of Kurt's intention was he wanted something that was going to be lightweight but still sturdy enough, but still have some flex. I think sometimes you can make them too rigid, which there's a place for that, right? Like if you're hauling out bear hides and some things like you don't want much flex in traditional opinion. So yeah, basically he started with the frame and that's where he stripped away a lot of the weight and really came up with this concept of this ultralight frame. And it was called the Crux frame. It's still in play today. There's obviously been a few iterations of it, but so that's a flat frame sheet. So it's a 26-inch frame. All of our frames are the same
I
height,
like that.
but Kurt kind of came up with a really unique way to adjust the shoulder straps in all of our frames. So it's Velcro based, which is some people they're like, oh, there's no way that will hold up, but like it's the craziest Velcro ever. I think the rating, if I recall, is like 17 pounds per square inch, and there's like 30 in total inches of square inches of Velcro or something on it. Like it's a wild stat, but it's all adjustable. So based off of your torso height or just how you like your load to ride, you can make easy adjustments in literally a matter of seconds. So if you're in the field and you feel like your load's riding too low, you can pull the shoulder straps down and get it up a little higher and vice versa. And then really like he always started out with the best technical and most durable fabrics available. So like you could definitely make these backpacks lighter by swapping out some fabrics, but it was really important for him that there was a durability side to these because obviously, these things get used and abused in that respect. So yeah, started out with the frame. Again, just sewing these things in his garage, doing different iterations, and then came up with this idea of the load shelf at this time too. And so that was kind of the first time anybody had that thought process really that we know of basically allowing the bag to separate from the frame, and then that gives you at least in our case of our backpacks about 2,500 cubic inches of additional space. So if you're hauling out game or if you're using it, a lot of guys will take less on the way in. They'll use it for more of a
Yeah.
gear storage area. Just drop that load shelf out, and you can go with a little bit smaller bag again, saving some weight. But yeah, started with that frame, man, and really kind of just went to town on that and got that
Now
dialed
that's
in.
carbon
And
fiber,
then outside
correct?
of that, yeah, it is. Yeah, so it's actually 4 carbon stays inside of there, and those stays have kind of shifted over the years. When Kurt first did them, they were a little bit different carbon fiber, and what we have now is slightly different. But in our flat frame sheets, they're a hollow tube, which is still super durable, thick wall tube, but saves a lot of weight. So they're not a solid tube. But we found that man, they hardly ever break, and if they do break, it was probably something with intent, like someone dropped a backpack with a heavy load on it, or yeah, someone ran over the truck. That's actually a common one. I don't know how people are doing that, but we actually get that a few times
Dude,
a
I've
year.
had a couple of guys
So
run
yeah,
their
started
bows
out
over
with
this
that.
year.
Yeah.
Customers
Oh yeah,
running their
that's a
bows
popular
over
thing
them. It's
too.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's my nightmare. Like
Yeah.
setting another bow up and having to do that right
hmm
now. Like, oh my gosh, it does not sound fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So yes, got the frame sheet kind of dialed in, liked his shoulder straps, and then really started to work on the belt from there. And there's a lot of small adjustments in our frames to really get that perfect fit for people and their different body types. And so really, there's been quite a few kind of different versions of the belt. Nothing like major, but just small improvements every year. Kurt goes and kind of looks everything over. We get a lot of customer insights, and then he'll tweak those. And there's a lot of small changes that we make that we never really talk about that are more fit and kind of feature things, function things that we do every year to
Hmm.
our frames. But they're pretty small. But over the course of 10 years, those really start to add up and to something that we think is really unique and kind of special.
Now, so you have one height frame, which I like. Do you have
Yep.
one belt or do you have multiple belts?
Nope. So yeah, we have
Okay.
different belt sizes, and we sell 2 different frames. The frame sheet and stuff itself is all they're pretty much the same, but we have a flat frame sheet, so that's going to be the crux, and then we have the X curve, and so that's going to have some curvature in there, and depending on your body type and style, either one of those will fit you great. And to be honest, we can fit about 95% of people in either of those comfortably. There's just some people just have a little bit more of a different body type that lends themselves either way. Honestly, some of it is back structure. But mostly, honestly, it's kind of like ass, like guys with bigger butts or guys with like more meaty um, backsides tend to kind of fit one way or the other. And so there's no definitive way, in our opinion, to say like if someone has or doesn't have a curved back. Like we've spent literally hours and hours of time, invested thousands of dollars in trying to figure out how you truly define what that is. And at the end of the day, for us, like the best thing is to provide really good customer service, educate the consumer as much as you can. But yeah, let them swap out a frame if they put one on and feel like, hey, maybe I'd like to try the X curve or vice versa.
Gotcha. Yeah, you guys didn't you guys do I might as watch a YouTube video. Like you guys brought it like put an ad out, remember, much people
Mhm.
in to like talk about your frames and stuff, or did a bunch of sizing for that. And
Yeah, it was mostly kind of a a
okay.
search through our buddies. Obviously, here in Bozeman, we have quite a few friends that are using our products. But yeah, had a lot of different guys come into our office and just talk about what they were using, got measurements. We met with some chiropractors and spine specialists and some people from the university, and really tried to sit down and like definitively come up with a plan that was like, hey, if you're these things, then this is the frame. And what we found was it literally just comes down to
Yeah.
personal preference. And so that's hard, right? Because like people call up and they want an answer of like, hey, which one fits better? And we could for sure give some guidance and we have some tips. But yeah, it's just sometimes you will throw it on and be like, man, this thing fits great. And people will take off, like say the crux and put on the X curve and be like, oh man, this is the one. And it's just instant feeling for them. And yeah, they might fit kind of like halfway in between either of our profiles, but yeah, we can generally fit anybody in any frame.
Okay, so now you have different size, two frames, but one size height, so you don't have to worry about getting a large frame or small frame.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
your hip belts, are those sewn into the frame or are those detachable? Okay,
Those are
sweet.
detachable too, so you can swap those out. And we offer three sizes: small, medium, and large on those. And again, those are just based off your general weight size, belt size. Yeah, super super comfortable. They're not like overly padded. I think sometimes some brands go a little too heavy on the padding. Like these provide enough comfort and support, but again, we're about saving that weight. And so it's finding that balance of what works and what level of adjustment that you can have. You can definitely adjust ours based off of kind of your hip profile. So if you're, pretty narrow at the waist, then you can kind of tip the top of those shoulder straps in with some adjustments and get that kind of like perfect cup fit. So yeah, it's a pretty unique and kind of their construction, very simple. Yeah, it's not overly engineered or crazy. It's just yeah, very minimalistic and really all about
What are we
comfort.
weighing for the frame and hip belt?
Yeah, most of our frames are going to come in like right around two and a
Okay.
half pounds, kind of depending on which way you go, and a lot of that is dependent on belt size, right? Like bigger belts is generally going to have more material. But yeah, like, most of our bags and frames, like all in, you're going to be anywhere from like 3.5 to 6-ish pounds, depending on how big a bag you get. So again, like in comparison, like about 25 to 30% savings on weight compared to a lot of the other brands out there.
Nice. Okay, so let's go into bags. I don't want to go through the whole lineup.
Mhm,
I know you can get a
mhm,
small bag, like a 2,000 liter, not
mhm.
2,000 liter, 2,000 cubic inch. Let's do cubic inches too. I don't know
Yeah,
if you do inches or liters, but I
yeah.
like cubic inches for this podcast series.
Yeah,
Good.
we do cubic inches too. To be honest, I consider myself like, I mean, I went to college, so I'm somewhat educated. When I have to start converting liters into cubic inches, I'm like a monkey doing a
Yeah.
math problem, man. I'm
Yeah.
like,
So
what?
let's
I
do
don't
let's
know.
do cubic inches. So let's stay away from like the 2000s, like the day
Perfect.
pack stuff. Let's kind of focus on like the what
Yep.
I would say
Yep.
like the bread and butter, like backpack hunting. So like maybe that
Hmm.
4,000 to like the you guys do make some expedition ones as well. So let's
Yep.
kind of look at the maybe like a 4,000, six
Hmm.
thousand, 8,000, or whatever, you know. Let's go there. So your bread and butter is probably
Yep.
that
Yeah.
4,000. For me, like if I'm buying a pack, I want it to be like 4 to 5, and I can pretty much
Hmm.
make that work for the
Hmm.
majority of my hunts up to 6 to 8 days, honestly.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I would say like our pack in that spot is we definitely have some in that 4,000. The Sky
Okay.
5,900 is kind of like if you're gonna buy one Stone
Okay.
Glacier pack, that's the pack. And so that guy, yeah, it's gonna be 5,900 cubic inches, and that's including the lid, so it's about 5,400 without that. And the cool thing about our bags, and this is when I have to give the sales pitch on them, is they really compress down nicely. Like Kurt has done a really good job with the geometry, and so when your bags are like nearly empty or half full, they just do a really good job of the material folds in on itself, the way the straps are connected, the thought process of how they compress down. You don't end up with like a
Yeah.
big saggy bag on the back there. They just look really clean. And it's funny, like we've actually submitted a few of these backpack designs to like architectural style design contests for like crazy ones. Like I think the last one we did was like Inc. 5000 had an innovative of design board, and our Terminus won that just because it's like a unique way to use and design these bags, just from the construction standpoint of how they interact and fold down, kind of the
Mhm.
origami of it, if you will. So yeah, the 5900 does that really well. All of our bags do, but that's a great, like, if you're gonna buy one, Sky 5900 can't beat it.
Okay,
It's
so
a great
let's talk
bag.
about that pack now, because they all kind of have the same.
Yep.
Am I wrong? They all kind of keep the same style, but they get bigger, right? Sort of, kind. They kind of have the same basis of design. Some
Yeah,
changes, but
yeah. There's some. Yep, yeah, 100%. There's a few small details. So like the 5900, that has a
mhm,
horseshoe zipper in the front. So that's going to allow
I
you to
like that.
access your bag um, all the time. And then, so that's one style. And then we have some side zipper ones, which are nice if you are a guy that likes to strap stuff on the front of your bag and you
Mhm.
still want to get inside. You can access those, like the Archer 6400. You can basically full side zip. That's like one of Kurt's favorites. And so you can basically get in there, access top to bottom of your bag without having to unstrap maybe something you have on the front. And then we have some, excuse me, that are full front zip, like the 6900. That's going to be a full front zip, so that's going to open up kind of and flay out for access. And then and then we have a 7900, which is kind of the big dog. That one has a bigger horseshoe zip, and then also interchangeable on some of these are side pockets for spotting scopes, things like that. But yeah, it really just comes down to giving a little bit of a preference on, hey, what's your style and how do you want to access these bags? That's going to be the biggest difference regarding, anything from a 5900 up to a
Yeah, that
7900.
7900 is really popular with some of the guys in the industry carrying a lot of camera stuff. It's a real
Mm-hmm.
popular bag.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I do any of your bags have a full length side pocket for like put my tripod in, or are they all strapped to the outside stuff?
Tripods definitely fit inside of those. There's no dedicated tripod pocket or anything like that on ours. And again, that's that minimal design, but there are little kind of like cleats that will grab your
But it's
tripod, a little
exposed though. It
pocket
doesn't
on the
have like a
outside
full length
that will
one. Okay.
grab.
Okay.
It is. No, no, we don't. No, and again, that's kind of harken back to a little bit of that
Yes.
preference of trying to save that weight. And we've tried some and they're good. And what we find too is there's just so much variance in
Mhm.
the gear that people use that when you start designing pockets specific for unique items, like even say a spotting scope, there's so many variations and sizes of what people are running that you kind of find that you almost disappoint people when they say, well, we built this spotting scope pocket and it fits 90% of all spotters, but just so happens the one they have doesn't fit. So we try to like find ways to secure and hold down things, but really give people kind of again that ability to determine, hey, what am I going to put in this pocket truly, and how do I do that? So like, we do have one bag that would fit like that big giant BTX behind you. So there are some options, but yeah, it's a few spot and scope pockets on the sides and things, but yeah, most of you guys are just strapping their tripods on
Yeah,
the side
once
of
I
our
got the
bags.
BTX, I never thought I would carry a BTX, but once you look behind them,
Yeah.
you just have to bring it with you now. So it's
They're nice. And I mean, again, not to get on a tangent, the optic game has definitely stepped up kind of across the board in the last few years. And yeah, you can get little tiny spotters, big giant spotters, and
yeah.
everything in between. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
either
it's a
running a
lot.
65 or this one. I don't know. We can go into this later, but if you don't know if you've seen this tripod yet, but it's the greatest glassing tripod ever made. It's fully micro adjust, so you can actually
Mm.
pan with your fingers on the trindle of the tripod. So it's like, yeah,
Oh,
it
nice.
is. This is the
Yeah.
greatest glassing tripod ever made. Made specifically for the BTX and big eyes and tool stuff. Being from California,
Sure.
Arizona, we open
Nice.
desert hunting. Um, all right, so
Yeah.
you got that bag. Do all these bags come with a lid?
Mhm. Yeah, pretty much all of the expedition to kind of like multi-day bags will, with the exception, I think our solo bag doesn't. That's a really popular one as well. That's more of a 3 to 5 day bag. Super simple design, just one top access and then a little pocket. But yeah, they all will come with a lid. The lid's 500 cubic inches, and again, so when we talk about like 5969, that's inclusive of that lid design. All of these bags too, you can run them in bivy mode, and basically what that we have sky mode and bivy mode. So sky mode is like maxed out super tall, right? Like we're going to utilize all the space. And then Kurt has this really cool design in bivy mode, which basically lets you kind of take that top, 25, 30% of the bag, and it kind of, again, folds in on itself. And then there's two webbing straps that basically close that down. And then you can just take your lid off and you get this real clean, kind of like approach style bag or minimalistic design bag. And that's honestly like, I run a 7900 or have been here more recently in bivy mode, and that's it, no lid, and it's been great for like spring bears and things like that. It's just a super clean way to do that. But yeah, lid included with
That's
all
good.
the
I'm a
expedition
big
ones.
lid guy. I like a lid. What other
Mhm.
features you want to talk about? What about do you guys do any kind of testing for load capacity, or do you just say you're not going to break it?
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah, there's this really good blog post on our website that was kind of like this blast from the past of when Kurt was starting to design and develop the original frames. And yeah, I mean, we kind of we put a load rating on there, and that's mostly just, I mean, that's kind of a legal thing. Like you can haul way more than a load rating on there. We just don't recommend it. And I don't know a lot of guys that will haul more than 150 pounds very far and say they're enjoying themselves. But yeah, we do a lot of testing. You know, the cool thing about the Stone Glacier team is we're still relatively small, but everybody here is a hunter. And so every product that we make is pretty religiously field tested and vetted, and it comes to market to a point where, yeah, we wouldn't put our name on it. And I mean, again, not to get off backpacks, but we took us like 2.5, 3 years to design gaiters because we just couldn't get them the way Kurt wanted them. And now, I think they're some of the best gaiters on the market, and again, very unique kind of Kurt's perspective. And so same with our backpacks. Everything gets tested and really vetted
I should
before it
try your
comes to
gaiters
market.
because I am so sick of buying gaiters that come loose on the top of my calf and fall down. I cannot get gator. I mean,
Mm.
I've had 3 different pairs, and I cannot get that stupid strap to like stay strapped. It always pops open. Dude, I'm just like, ugh. And
Oh,
gators are so
yeah,
money. Like they help a ton, but yeah. Um,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, for sure.
so you put a rating on there. What is the rating you put on there? 150 pounds that you put on there, or do you put
Yeah, that's what we say. The load shelf and the backpack ratings are 150. But again, like, I mean, I don't remember exactly. It's in that blog post of when they finally broke, but it was something pretty extreme, like 400-ish pounds, and it was still supporting that. And again, like it's all about construction and the right materials when you do those things, in that respect. But yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, I mean, any backpack, I don't care who the manufacturer is, like you put 100+ pounds on them, none of them are super
no,
comfortable. It's not
no?
it's not an enjoyable thing to walk around with that much weight. So, I think one thing that we have heard, and as a user of our products, and to be honest, we test and wear other backpacks. Like that's something we do too, because we're just appreciative of the market and curious what other people are doing. Like under heavy load, I've really been very proud of how our backpacks perform. They just generally feel good, with that like 60, 70 pounds on them. You can cruise around real good with those.
What
So,
about strapping meat down? So you're going to use a load shelf. How does your pack carry? Do you have a good way of getting that
mhm.
meat strapped to the back to the frame and keeping it stable, not shifting weight?
Yeah, so yeah, no. So yeah, basically the way our bags work is they're obviously attached to the frame, but you can deploy them and the load shelf comes down. So the load shelf's built into our frame, which is kind of a unique design. There are others now doing that, but Kurt was kind of the guy that pioneered that load shelf on the frame, and so that's what gives you the flexibility to run different bags, right? Because you have that load shelf built into that frame. So our bags basically they come off, they kind of flip open, you load it up with gear, and then the bag comes back, and so it's the bag and everything in it. There's 6 compression straps that go around the outside, and that's what compresses the meat back to the frame. So again, common thought process, you're putting all the heaviest things closest to your body, so that's going to give you more stability while you're out there and just generally be more comfortable while you're
Gotcha.
carrying it.
So if I had to
Yeah.
put I feel like when you guys, maybe I'm wrong. Like when I was first looking at backpacks and I was thinking about Stone Glacier, it was like in my mind, it was like, oh, this is a minimalist
Mhm.
backpack. But I think you guys have kind of gone away. You're not just a minimalist backpack. You guys are pretty much, you're not just a sheep hunting backpack anymore. You guys are a backpack universal across the West. Who
Mhm.
is, if you had to be like, who's your backpack for? Who's your backpack made for?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, we definitely could fit, again, we could fit anybody in any of these backpacks and they work across a lot. I think the guy that's most attracted to our products and just our brand in general is the guy that likes to, go hard out there and is looking for something that's going to last a long time and is pretty premium. He's probably somewhat weight conscious. Maybe that's not the biggest driver. Made in America is probably something that he's, hopefully curious in, and that's where all of our backpacks are made. But yeah, I mean, we started out when we first started. I mean, the
Yeah.
brand it was known for sheep hunting, and I think we still are. Like, people that sheep hunt like Stone Glacier backpacks, and again, it's all about that weight savings. But yeah, I mean, it's really the guy that is going to go, 10, 15, 20 days a year that's looking to save a little weight and want something comfortable. And durability is a concern, but is kind of willing to say, like, I'm also, I'm not going to take these things, or I don't need these things because it's just not a necessity while I'm hunting out there. So yeah, it's the sheep hunting customer is super small, and so yeah, again, like, obviously you want to grow your business. So I would say anybody that's doing any type of backcountry recreation, hunting, hiking, whatever, that's going to be out there for 3, 5+ days would definitely find
Nice.
success in a Stone Glacier pack.
Now, what if I want to buy one of your packs? You guys do sell D2C, right? And, but you're
Hmm.
also, are you guys in
Hmm.
Shields and stuff like that as well? Or some of these places?
Yeah, yeah. So our business model, we're pretty much 70% D2C and 30% on the wholesale side. So yeah, you'll find us in a lot of the Shields stores. Shields is a great partner. And then outside of that, we're in a lot of kind of the independent mom and pop shops. And again, like, these backpacks are expensive, and so you want to make sure that for us, it was important that we were in the right spot so that people who were selling these backpacks were educated on them. They cared about the product. They understood, the end consumer, the end user. And so yeah, there's a lot of shops out there that were just aren't a fit for our brands right now, and that's fine. But yeah, really kind of the niche, higher end
Now, is
shops
there
is
a
where we find
way
our
for like
products.
if I'm in wherever New Mexico, I can look on your site and see where you have what I can go look at?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, we have
perfect.
a dealer portal. It's not the more it's like super robust, but yeah, it lists all the shops. So if you're in New Mexico, you can scroll down and look at New Mexico. There's a little interactive map that you can click on. But yeah, and we do suggest, like, I mean, if you're interested in Stone Glacier Pack, like, definitely, if you have the opportunity to go touch one, see it, try it on, like have that experience with it. And again, like, our customer service is great. You can get a backpack home. If you have any questions, you can call in. The guys are super knowledgeable. Ryan, Phil, and those guys, Wyatt, they'll get you
Sweet.
dialed in no time.
That's an awesome podcast, dude. Um, we like to end with
Hmm.
a hunting story on this podcast. It doesn't have to be like the biggest animal in the world or your Dall
Yeah.
sheep. Or I don't know if you killed Dall sheep. It could be like a freaking rabbit hunt. I don't care. Just a
Hmm.
memorable hunt for you that is meaningful to you
Yeah.
and is a good story. Has to be a good story.
Hmm. Has to be a good story. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, I've been lucky enough that I've gotten
Really?
two sheep. I got a doll sheep, and then yeah, I drew a bighorn tag in Montana, which was cool. And so the Montana one, though, was pretty special. It was actually pretty wild. So it's not I mean, any tag in Montana, bighorn tag's hard to draw, but the area itself where we did it was a mountain hunt, so that was important to me. Like, I wanted to kill or hunt bighorns at least in the mountains. Obviously, there's the Missouri breaks and there's some giant sheep out there. I've been a part of a few of those hunts. They're super entertaining, but
Mhm.
it's a different style of hunting. So I really wanted a sheep hunt, so that was great. And so I drew the tag, and we follow along kind of with the sheep in Montana where they're at, and we know people who've had tags, and so you always kind of go into those hunts with what you think is kind of the best plan. And there's a couple kind of mountain lakes where a lot of these rams hang out in the summertime, and so we did a bunch of scouting, went in, found some sheep, and we're feeling pretty good about where we are going to be when opening day came. And sure enough, you know, 5 days, 10 days, I think 5 days. 5, 10 days before we were supposed to go on this hunt. Of course, I get COVID, and I'm just
This is like the
wildly
third
sick.
hunting story where someone had
And
COVID on this
like
podcast. I swear.
uh, I do, I know. It's like it's a great story, right? Like human triumph. But anyway, so I get it, and 5 days later we go hunting, and dude, it was a beat down to get back in there, and we got there, and I was so tired and weak that we hung out for like 2 days. I literally like we got to camp at like 1 in the afternoon. I slept until like 1 the next day, just 24 hours out. And luckily it was for the best because we glassed and hiked around, and man, all the sheep that we had found had just disappeared. So we were like, what the heck? And so we hiked around some more, spent a ton of time. And like, I don't want to say this is like an easy tag by any means, but traditionally, like if you're out there, you're going to start bumping into rams. And man, every hot tip, every spot that we had seen sheep in the past, there was just no rams in there. So we were starting to get a little discouraged. And these sheep, like they will come down lower when it snows. But I really wanted to kill one, like kind of back in their habitat that way. And man, we ran into a buddy who was like just happened to be elk hunting kind of in that same area, and he was like, "Oh man, I think I saw some sheep. You guys should go check these ones out." And they were in a spot that like, oh, I knew they were in there sometimes in the springtime, but like summertime, it just wasn't a spot they were. And it was again kind of like this nasty hole. And so I was hunting with my buddy, and obviously like we're always taking photos and stuff at Stone
Mhm.
Glacier, so we had a camera guy with us, and we hiked back in there, and man, do not turn up these sheep. Like it definitely like found tracks and some fresh sign, but no rams. We're like, what the heck. And so it's this big basin, and like we couldn't really look down, it's too steep, so you could kind of see parts of it, and we didn't really like we're having a hard time picking our way around to get down lower to hit a few of these kind of like chutes and meadows. So we backed out and then went back 2 days later, same thing, like some fresh sign, but couldn't find these rams. And I was like, what the heck? And so we were getting down to the point where like I still had some time to hunt, but it was getting like it's just getting to where like you're having a good time, but like the frustration is starting to set in. We're like, man, like why can't we find any of these rams? And so me and my buddy go, and of course the camera guy can't go, and we head out again one morning, and we hike back into this spot, and it looks good, and we're in the area, and we're like, this is going to be great. And we see some sheep, so we're like, hey, like this is it, like we're going to find these rams. And this fog rolls in, and like you can't see anything, and we're like, what the heck? So we're just about ready to like pack it, and it was like 4 or 5 hours of just laying there on the side of this mountain waiting for this fog to lift, and we were almost done, and we were like, well, let's just go a little bit higher. So we just started crawling a little bit higher, and the fog started to lift, and man, it was crazy. We were just literally sitting there, and we heard rocks starting to fall, and I was like, man, I think that's those rams. And we came around this corner and hiked out on this ledge,
No
and
way.
12 rams walked out in front of us, single file at like 350 yards. And so we were laying there, and we were just like, we're phone scoping them, and we're like chatting. We're like, oh, this is so awesome. And then we kind of like even got caught up in the moment. And I was like, oh man, like I guess we should probably shoot one of these things. And we found a ram, and man, it was so crazy. Like all these rams were like just your standard like bighorn color, but this one was like jet black, like wildly dark, and he was a little smaller. There, still a great ram, like very respectable ram. But there was one other ram in there that was definitely just a touch bigger. But I just was in love with like how dark chocolate this guy was. So we shoot him, tumbles off the mountain like they do, and we go over there, and we're like, we're chatting and we're stoked. And I was like, man, it would be great to have some photos. And we're like, yeah, where's the camera guy? And this whole thing, and he wasn't there. And so we texted him, and I still don't know how our buddy Nate got there, but man, it took us like 6 hours to get where we were, and Nate was there in like 2.5. He showed up, dripping sweat, just smoked, and we had just gotten the meat all loaded. And yeah, man, it took us quite a while to get back out, but super super excited about it. It was the my second sheep, and it was wild. I ended up hunting sheep 2 years in a row, which most guys never get to do. And yeah, that was the story how I got my ram. And then yeah, still trying to figure out how to afford a stone in a desert, but
Dude,
I'd love to
yeah.
get one at
For
some
me
point.
on the stone, I'm gonna have to move to Canada to afford that one. It's just getting expensive.
It is
Yeah.
expensive for sure, but yeah, it's I've been on a handful of sheep hunts, and man, they're always awesome, super special. And Kurt in our office, he's always doing the unlimiteds, and he's actually gotten two unlimiteds now. So I'm not sure, but for me, that might be my next move is to maybe shift gears and get back at them. But I got to wait a few
Really?
years still.
That's
Still got to sit
awesome,
out for a
dude.
while.
I put in for sheep everywhere. I want to draw one. I will hunt a sheep at some point in my life. So good for you, man. That's a really cool story. I'll say too, you said you guys always have camera guys around.
Yeah, it's fun.
When people ask me like what my favorite hunt films are,
Hmm.
you guys are up like on the top of that list. You guys make some
Yeah.
incredible hunt films. So if you guys are looking to watch like a good hunting film that's just like a legitimate like Western hunt, the Stone Glacier hunts are awesome. Take a watch of them. I really enjoy those hunts.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, we work hard at it, and we try to just be authentic and true. We don't sugarcoat it. We show you, the good, the bad, the ugly. But yeah, we're always pretty thoughtful on that, and we enjoy making that content. And obviously, there's, while we're out there, we're testing gear, we're getting photos. There's a lot of work that goes into these films. You ask my wife, she just
Dude,
thinks we're out there hunting, but man, it's like we have a giant shot list, and there's a lot of things that we're capturing and doing out there, from product education to utility-based content. When we're out
yeah,
there, we're
content
working
is a
from sun up
beating.
till
Like I
sundown.
never thought I'd be like an influencer. I'm not really an influencer, right? But having a company that you just need content for. Yeah, so I'm actually bringing a
Hmm.
film guy with me
Yeah,
on every hunt this year to film. So we're gonna actually do a bunch of Tricer films this year. And but I just told my partners, I'm like, I am not gonna sell film
sweet.
because it just for me it just I get it, we need it, but it kind of ruins it for me. Like I'm like, if somebody wants to film me, yes, that's fine. But I do not want to be setting the camera up and trying. I want to be glassing for deer or glassing
Yeah,
for elk or whatever I'm doing, not trying to set up some B-roll and do that stuff.
totally.
So have a it's a skill
Dude,
too,
it's a lot, and like I mean, yeah, and we do some pretty hard hunts that, I mean, we've had camera
really.
guys straight up quit on the job before, that just couldn't do it. So yeah, you have to have the right guy, and I mean, all of our camera guys, man, they run circles around us from the physicality standpoint. I mean, they they're on it, and they're working 2x as hard as we are. I always feel like we're sending it. So yeah, it's a unique thing. It's a fun thing. We enjoy doing it. It's a nice perk of the job, but it's definitely work. And once you go down that path of content and you start to, figure out what your strategy is, and work around that, then yeah, you kind of got to keep feeding that animal, and that
Yeah, for
that takes
sure.
time and effort.
Well, that
So
was a great podcast, dude. Go check out Stone
yeah, man,
Glacier.
it's
I
been
mean, I'm sure
fun.
everyone knows who Stone Glacier is. Is it stoneglacier.org, right? .com, stoneglacier.com. And
.com.
then
Yep.
you guys are on
Yep.
Instagram, you guys are on
Yep.
YouTube. Give them a follow and
Hmm.
go check out Stone
Yep.
Glacier. Looking for a pack. I think Stone Glacier is a phenomenal choice for a chunk of the hunting market, especially those guys looking for an ultralight backpack that is strong and is durable. They make great stuff. I know a lot of guys who run their stuff, and I've never heard a complaint. So go check out Stone Glacier. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Thanks, man.